That's a pretty fair way to put it. I think it's more if you don't suffer a little bit. Are you really playing a Final Fantasy at all?
Yeah, that's true too. I don't know. It was built to make you suffer at least a little bit. So
The adult beverages are poured, the kids are asleep. Welcome to New Dad Gaming, a show about fatherhood, gaming, and new fathers figuring out their gaming lives. My name is Trevor, and I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old.
PlayStation is coming to eat our lunch.
Yeah, right?
They're coming for us, buddy. Like, we have got to be sharp. We've got to be ready. This show had better be about the best thing we've ever produced, because PlayStation's knocking at our door.
They're trying to swallow up the little guy.
It's like, yeah, we're just a local mom and pop shop podcast trying to,
right.
make ends meet. And in comes big corpo PlayStation on our territory.
Well, Xbox gets Bethesda, PlayStation wants us. So
It's about a fair trade. So what we are talking about is PlayStation recently released a PlayStation guide to gaming for busy mums and dads.
why not?
Yeah, now on its surface it sounds great. But what type of selection are we looking at, Jeff? Did they come anywhere close to hitting the mark?
I'm not sure their definition of, mom, dad, parenting, gaming time, because right off the top, we have a game about a divorce with It Takes Two. So, we're off to a good start. Returnal, which has been noted as not having any sort of save function at all.
Your Dark Souls game, which does not seem to have any type of good
Right.
save function. Cool, doing
Yep.
good.
Yep. So we have that, and then we're on to Resident Evil, which, okay, you're stressed out during the day. You might want to be a little bit creeped out and stressed out at night. Fine. Okay. Nerves are shot. And then Astro Boy, that one I can agree with. I think
Astrobot.
Astro Boy, Astrobot. So that one, I think we're 1 for 4 there.
So this releases on the PlayStation blog. They post it out to all their socials, like, hey, you busy mom and dad, come on over. Now, I will say, so as much as we're ripping apart from the family-friendly angle, they're trying to say, hey, you're so busy. How about, here's a couple games that you can knock off in a weekend.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so some of the completion times are like 4 or 5 hours, 6 to 7 hours, 8 to 9 hours. Jeff, when's the last time you had 8 to 9 hours in a weekend as a dad to possibly play games?
We're talking about sleep time, right? I think 8 to 9 hours for the weekend might be sufficient. Yeah, I'm not sure when the 8-9 hour time block happens. Like, if our viewers kind of know, or our listeners, they can let us know when that kind of happens. But I have yet to experience that.
Yeah, so as PlayStation lists, it's short PS4 and PS5 games you can finish in a weekend. It's in some ways kind of nice to see that they're thinking of us in a way.
Of us, of this podcast.
Specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sony, call us. Look, we got the inside scoop on
That's
gaming
right.
as a dad. Like, we'll lay it out for you. We'll tell you the games that actually fit on this list, of which I think you probably only landed with Astro's Playroom.
Yeah.
So their list, according to PlayStation, for busy mums and dads, for games you can beat in a weekend. Erica, never heard that one, but
No.
that doesn't mean very much.
Again, games for moms and dads with zero time. I've not heard of that game.
Yeah.
So
Astro's Playroom, highly recommend. Very good.
Yep.
Resident Evil 3, certainly from our childhood. I'm sure we like it, but 6 to 7 hours, not likely. Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Uncharted 4 took me the better part of 1 year to complete on dad time.
it is true, because we have those episodes to prove it. So
Yeah, I wish I had the type of memory where I could say, just go through episode 100 through 185, and you'll hear my my Uncharted journey.
yeah, it's now a lost legacy.
Now, Concrete Genie, you actually had an experience with it, and didn't sound like it's a very good fit for gaming families, really.
Yeah, like, you can play it on your own as a dad or mom, but my son, who's 8, tried to play this one, and it's got a very serious story about bullies and how they're kind of beating up on a kid, and this kid has this magical power to conjure these graffiti/urban art concrete genies that live across the buildings and cheer him up and give him these, He eventually discovers each kid that's trying to bully him, their story, and it deals with like abusive parents, alcoholics. I haven't been through all the entire game, but there's a lot there with running away from home. So it's very serious issues, which are good issues to explore. But my 8-year-old was out of his league, and he thought it was just like this cutesy game where he can create stuff and kind of live in that world, but not so much. So just in case you're wondering, playing with your kid, just make sure it's like a little bit older.
But I'll even say, like, much like mentioned at the top, It Takes Two, which, as I understand, the actual game mechanics are fantastic, wonderful couch co-op, a blast, lots of fun. The backstory, what was the other game? Unraveled.
Unraveled.
You might remember from the last episode or the previous one, Unraveled looks like a super charming, cutesy game with these little yarn characters, but in the background is this horrific backstory about child abuse and like terrible parents. And if you're playing with a kid and they catch that nuance, like that's a dark kind of angle. It Takes Two, much the same vein, where it's this whole divorce thing going on in the background.
Yeah.
Even, and let's say, okay, so maybe, and they are saying, let's give PlayStation the benefit of the doubt. They're saying, hey, you parents can play this game as an adults to unwind over the weekend. Cool. Thanks, PlayStation. I would like to spend my weekend going through the saga of a divorce. Wonderful. That'll feel great.
Yeah.
And the reason that conjures up for me is because even if you took Concrete Genie as an adult game, okay, me, the parent, I'm going to play with it.
Right.
Explain in some ways a worse nightmare for a parent than your kid being bullied.
Yeah. And we've experienced some type of bullying in his school career, and it didn't sit well. So to go into that game not knowing that, which again, on my part, maybe I should have done a little bit more background, but it's a little much.
It is a child who's rising up and with coloring and brightness and illumination. So you would think this is going to be an uplifting, charming story.
Well, like their description, right? Complete this charming adventure. I'm like, let's be real. Let's just be real. That's all.
Yeah. Anyways, we just had to laugh a little bit. It seems like they're a bit off the mark. I do like that we're being seen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gaming parents, and hopefully that keeps playing into features that they roll out with us gaming dads in mind. But yeah, that's a heck of a miss. I think PlayStation at New Dad Gaming, Tosser, we got a whole list.
That's right.
From boots on the ground. We're here daily. We're fighting this dad fight. So we know which games. And hey, any dads listening, if you check out the post and you have a better recommendation that you'd like to see PlayStation push, just toss us a message.
Yeah.
Now, one such game that I would highly recommend for dads and mums and gaming families would be Donut Country. And why do I mention it? Because I actually beat it. I beat a video game.
Yes. We need a round of applause. Cue the soundtrack.
I'm not joking. I think that's probably the first one in like 5 months.
At least for this year, right? 2021.
Yeah, I have not beat a game this year.
Right?
Like, I've kind of picked some up and dropped some. And it's just like nothing has really been seen to completion, but this one I beat. So the reason I kind of bring this one up, actually, it's a tie back to an old segment we had, or an old like thought, where I'd suggested to gaming dads, get out of your own way and just play the game.
Yeah.
Because it was something that I was finding that I was preventing myself from playing. Because for me, video games was, okay, I'm going to get my snack, get my drink. I'm going to sit and I'm going to just like veg out for 4 or 5 hours. Dad don't got time for that.
Right.
So what was happening is I just was missing out on a bunch of games as opposed to, no, just for 20 minutes, for 30 minutes, like get in, have a game, like get over yourself and do it. Just play the game. So this was very much that, and more so was with Game Pass and the game streaming service. Okay. I have the invite to the beta on my iPad, and this is one of the titles that actually had touch controls.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so through this streaming thing, on my iPad, I'm streaming this game being played on some Xbox, and I'm just tapping the screens. I have the on-screen controls, and because it's not very nuanced, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like very precise.
Right.
You're just kind of like, you're just a whole consuming some things slowly through the level. You just kind of bumble around.
Right.
So it was perfect. So like I just used it and I quietly and calmly for a few minutes a night, whatever, went through it, eventually beat the game.
Nice. Well, the future is now. You're playing a touchscreen control through a streaming device. with a Microsoft product and an Apple product. But good to know that you beat something that, was easy to pick up and play and just play the game.
Yeah, I finally did. And I will slightly funny story.
Uh-oh.
The not really spoilery, but there is for the final level.
Wait, are you going to spoil Donut
I'm
County?
not. No.
Hold on.
There is no spoiling.
It's not about donuts? What are we doing?
Yeah, it isn't. It isn't. So I'll say no more about that. But the final level, it actually does require some precision.
Oh.
And the touch controls very much just started to fall for that last. I could not beat the final level with touch controls. Like there's too much lag.
Interesting.
Now that might just be my internet connection. It could be any number of things, right?
Right.
But either way, like I tried it 4 or 5 times. It was unbelievably frustrating because I know how to beat it. It's just my hole was not moving fast enough.
Right.
So I ended up actually downloading it onto my Xbox. Just so I could beat it. I was right there, man. I just had one level and the touch controls were failing. So it's just, I'm not letting this prevent me from just closing out this loop and like getting the win and
Right.
beating the game.
No, I commend your effort level, right? Like you started this segment as just sit down and play the game, and now you sat down and played it and then went the extra step to go to a different device to finish it because it wasn't working on the device you were playing on. So like that's the added effort there. That's kudos to you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be something that keeps getting better and better, but it definitely did fall on its face a bit at the end, and I wasn't going to let one level get in the way.
You're not gonna let that stop you, right?
Yeah. Download it, beat it, done.
Nice.
Like dad victory right there.
Yeah.
What I'm trying now is Spiritfarer.
Oh, okay.
So it also has touch controls. It's also streaming. There's some platformy bits, but thus far I haven't noticed that it's all that difficult. Like it's not so precise. It feels a bit kind of slower, calm type of pace, almost like a Stardew Valley in a sense.
Okay.
As far as like, I don't think in Stardew Valley you need much precision.
No, it's manageable. Just just walking around, and you're not really like if you misstep, it's not going to throw you for a loop, right? It's not going to throw a barrier your way or anything. So that's what this one looks like.
Very much. So I thought that because that was the case, like just I've wanted to play this title for a while. Like it looks absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Like every review I've seen of it it's something that's so beautifully crafted with like love and care and just true artists that have kind of put some time into this. So I've wanted to play it for a while, and now heeding my own advice from Trevor from like 20 episodes ago, just play the damn game. Adventures in touch streaming gaming, which resulted in one win, and it's letting me touch on a title I've wanted to play for quite some time. So
Very nice.
now with Donut, you're telling me there's a precursor to Donut Country.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I mentioned, it's like, oh, that's just like this title. I'm like, what on earth are you talking about?
Yes.
And you proceed to tell me about Hole.io.
Right.
I would highly suggest if you're going to search for something with those words, you be very careful about what you click. But this is like Hole-io.
Yeah.
Man, how's it actually? I'm going to be very careful here. Hole-io.com.
Right. Yes. This is something that predates the game that you just played. I think maybe they came out at the same time, but my kids were playing this forever when they were younger. I think when my son was 5, he was playing this. It's a browser-based Donut Country type of game where you're this hole that goes around and eats. It's like reverse Katamari is what I call it. So instead of rolling over things and getting bigger, you're eating things and getting bigger. Mm-hmm. So they were playing this all the time on the iPad, which would leave all sorts of, kid streaks all over the screen, but they were really into it. And it's all like this online based game where you're against other players that have, again, they're coming around with their holes trying to eat everything and get bigger and bigger and get you. And they had no problem with that, which I was actually very pleased with, because a lot of that can create like that weird competition, and then they get angry, and then,
Yeah.
I didn't want to lose. But they were cool with it. They were on to the next game. It's like a quick in and out. And both my kids love this game. I think every kid played it in school during their class.
There's just something about that destruction, which is just so funny, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
Your mouth is getting bigger. Things are dropping into it. Chaos is like happening.
Yeah.
We came across it as in preparation for the show, so I played a quick match before. It was
A
just
full
like,
match. You played the entire thing. You didn't let go. You were good.
yeah, but it's one of those like funny moments where this type of online thing comes around where like I just about got swallowed up. There's this huge guy just about like, oh God, you're gonna die. No, I'm gonna make it. Like everyone's just, it was a riot. Like we were just laughing our heads off before the show.
Yeah.
So it actually seems like a fairly decent little time waster. as far as a browser game that's fairly safe for your kids. Given the number of ads on screen, you probably want to be
Yes.
a little careful with letting them just roam on their own. But
Yes, and that's something I found out when we kicked it up here. So I was like, oh, it plays an ad before. Did not know that. I wonder what ads they saw. But
oh boy,
yeah, it's relatively safe. Like, it's not going to ask for your credit card or anything. So
Donut Country and Hole.io, fun little destruction games. In our households, we had very different experiences recently
yeah,
in playing games with our kids as far as a retro standpoint. And these are both re-releases, remakes per se,
yes,
and very different outcomes. So in my household, if you saw on Instagram, I released a story about how my son and I were playing NHL 94.
oh, fantastic.
They call it NHL 94 Rewind. This is a brand new title that EA launched along with NHL 21. It is NHL 94.
Nice.
And I mean, like, they improved nothing. It feels
In a good way, right? Like,
in a good way, yeah. So it's just like updated players, updated teams, and that is it. It is just the game. So I go right back to home, having just a phenomenal time, and unbelievably, my kid did too.
oh wow,
He was jumping all over the place. Like all he knew how to do was check and shoot.
yeah,
But he was desperately trying to get like a goal. He was trying to hit everybody, just laughing his head off. Like I knew a couple tricks, so we were able to like, win a few of the games.
yeah.
Like I couldn't believe that he liked it. I was so stoked. I don't know if you have played a retro hockey game like this in a while, or
No,
would
no.
be interested in the remake, or
I would be interested in playing this specific one again if it kept all the. I remember the one timers were ridiculously effective, and the wraparound was like a for sure goal. I would actually like it if they kept the old teams. I know that would not be possible with licensing.
Hartford Whalers. I'm like,
Yeah. Just to like really go back. But it's good that they kept, the quirks of the game, and that's just part of it now. So I'm glad that you and your son got to experience that, and it didn't create any like tensions or anything where it was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to play this. What are you talking about?
I would absolutely adore if we could actually play it competitively.
Oh yeah.
Like if he got pretty well, I say that now and then watch like another year. It's like, I hate my son. I hate this game. Our household is in disarray.
That's all it is now. 24/7.
All I want to play is It Takes Two because it speaks to me now.
PlayStation was right.
Yeah, it's so right. But to actually compete like and have to like really battle him to try to win would be a blast.
Yeah.
So hooray for me, the Gaming
Yeah.
Dad's success.
That's
We
amazing.
titled this section 1 win and 799.99 losses. What
Yeah.
does that mean, Jeff?
Well, $80 is a lot of money. And again, $80 was spent on the Super Mario 3D collection, or 3D All-Stars, where my kids play it for a good couple hours, maybe 2, and then dropped it. Dropped it like no tomorrow. It was just something that they did not want to play. They thought the mechanics were bleh.
Yeah. Now what's interesting though, so this is a bit more official because I think even the last 2 episodes like that's come up where we bought it. I thought they'd be so excited. They asked for it. I remember when your kid actually asked for a birthday.
Oh, he asked for it. And
Gaming Dad Jeff ran out and got it ahead of time because it was going away.
Yep.
Now
Nintendo won. So they got my money.
well, I more mean that like so that at that time even you had stated that it wasn't a big hit.
Right.
And they were kind of off of it. Had they tried it again and just still nothing? Like were you trying to push them towards it to try it? Like how was the how'd you get to this new nail in the coffin? Like how did the nail in the coffin come about? Because you were almost there when we last spoke.
Like they were trying it again, and I kind of helped them through it. Like maybe it's the old mechanics that was holding them back. Mario 64 is particularly like that is a pretty old game, and so I thought I'd help them through it just to get them past a couple levels to show them how cool this is. Look at all the stuff you can do, and the controls are amazing. I don't know. They just looked at me, where they give you that look. They're like, really? And then I had that deep, cold heart feeling like, am I old now? No, it's the children. Like, the children that are wrong. No, this is a great game. Shut up.
This is an amazing game. You're just like, no, keep playing it. You keep playing it or there'll be no dessert.
That's right. You beat this game. Otherwise, you don't get to go outside and play with your friends.
It's not even beat. It's like you like this game or you'll never touch Fortnite again.
That's right.
You will love this game or you will never get to play anything else.
Yeah. No, it just doesn't click with them, and I don't know what it is. It's Mario. It's a pretty easy win in my book, and they just are not having it. The deep sea level in this scares the crap out of them. They don't like having air, which I can understand. I think as a kid, I powered through that. I mean, what what are we doing here? So, no, it did not like it. And not only this game, but also Link's Awakening, which really hurts me because it's such a good remaster of the old Game Boy game with cute little Ghibli kind of characters in this like 2D, 3D kind of world, and looks beautiful. They do not like it. They do not like it because the mechanics are a little bit... One, you have to read dialogue boxes. And my 8-year-old...
You gotta read.
Yeah, my 8-year-old does not want to read dialogue boxes. Like, he can read, and he just doesn't care anymore. He just wants to get through the game. Like, let me go. And then he gets frustrated when he doesn't know where to go in the forest that keeps changing on him. You remember the beginning there? Like, it's something that I had to jump into with them and kind of guide them through. And it does not help. So I will be playing these games. Put it that way. I bought myself 2 games to play.
What if that'll be like the theme? It's just like they'll ask for a game they're not gonna like.
Yeah.
Hey man, whatever, sure. Here it is.
That's great.
You don't like it? Hello, Dad's pile.
You know what? You really like Mass Effect. I get it. I will buy that.
God. Jeez, that is very off topic. Would you actually buy Mass Effect?
God no. There's too many hours in that for me.
Okay, thank you.
I'm looking at these. I'm like, I cannot recommend that as dad limited time.
Yeah, I don't know if any other gaming dads out there want to tell us an opposing view, but I would love to play it again.
Yeah.
I adored Mass Effect.
Yeah.
There's no way I have the time to go through 3 Mass Effect games again. Especially the way I'd want to play, because of when I first did it. I really beat I did every side mission. Like, I loved everything for all the characters. I adored it.
Yeah.
And like, what am I going to speed run it now just so I could see like the new version?
I never played the 3rd one, so I don't even know how it ends.
Oh, well.
Well, now I do, but I'm not going to buy 3 games, much like the Mario collection, to say, and then I'm the one dropping it. Now, like, I'm not setting the good example. So
that would be a funny turn of events. Your kids adore Mass Effect, and you're just off of it. So,
Dad, play this game. No, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah, it certainly hurts, though, too. Like Mario 64, I think, for anybody our age, anybody with, like, young kids now, just hit in a certain way. Like, it was so transformative. It was so massive. A lot of time I wasn't really trying to even beat it. I was just jumping around. I could not believe the sense of freedom in this game and how agile I felt compared to most other games. If you think about the jump from 2D, like the sprites are so limited and how much movement. And all of a sudden you have the 3D space to work into, which is great, sure. But more to the fact, just all of the jumps and moves that they gave Mario to accomplish like wherever you wanted to go. Like, it was just unbelievable. And then he could fly. You remember he could fly in that game?
You can fly. There's Metal Mario, which I remember that effect blew my mind. I'm like, what is this? This is amazing. But yeah, none of that, it just washed over them. They're like, yeah, I've seen better things in Holy.io or...
Yeah, just give me Hole.io. That's all I need.
That's it.
Hole.io did this better.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit heartbroken, but, and wallet broken. But I will finish these games because I think they're great pick up and plays, and it has pause menus and save and quits, and it's built for that dad gaming time, I think, especially on the Switch. So that's one of the things that benefits from it.
I keep throwing you left curves here, but let me ask you this. Dad gaming advice. So right. He says with a very pregnant pause, like how to... One of my more favorite Final Fantasy games is actually Final Fantasy X. I liked it.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it didn't hit for some people. I can appreciate it. Characters are a bit off. Yeah. Like there's a famous laughing scene where Titus laughs preposterous. Oh God.
Yeah.
That's a bad scene. Anyway, otherwise though, like I adored the story. I adored the characters. I really liked it. I really liked the gameplay itself, the weapons. They are releasing it on Game Pass. The remaster.
They are, yes.
Now, do I want to play it like normally, no, I don't have that time. I don't have gaming time. But as I discovered when I did the playthrough of Final Fantasy 9, when I have been doing Final Fantasy 12, is they have like the speed up version. And even better in Final Fantasy 9, they had the no combat, invincible mode, like all those things.
A help you out mode.
Yeah, I'm thinking that if 10 comes out and it has fast forward, and more crucially, if it has infinite mode or just like God mode, I think I might go through it.
Really? You're saying that on air?
Yeah.
This is it.
Well, it's just because that way I can blast through it. I can visit all the old locations. I can see like the updated graphics. I can enjoy the story again without really having to grind. Have the characters that I want to play. It's like, I like you 3. Rest of you get out of here. Classic Final Fantasy. It's like, oh, hey, you are never being used. Get out of here. You will remain a level 1 for my entire playthrough.
This is the best type. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be me putting in some time, basically just to experience the interactive world or story. Is that crazy or nuts? Are you kind of in that? Could you see yourself doing that? Am I off my rocker?
Well, again, like going through Final Fantasy 12, something I didn't play, bounced off of, but then they included those new modes. I'd say if those new modes are there and there's no way for you to like spend so many hours into something grinding and not getting anywhere. If those modes are there, I think it's a worthwhile play, especially to get through all those. Final Fantasy X was a great one. 10-2, not we'll talk about that later. But no, 10 was great, and I think you will get a lot from it if those modes are there. If it's not there, do you remember how long that game was?
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I remember the card game, which I will not touch again.
Do you remember the lightning strikes? Did you ever do that? Dodge like I think it was 1,000 or 300 of them.
I don't think I ever got. I remember it. I never got through it because even then I didn't have time for that.
I was in college when that happened, so I had plenty of time. And
what are you gonna do? Study?
Yeah, exactly right. So it took a long time. So if there's stuff like that where it kind of gives you those items or those buffs just regularly, like just in an item in a menu selection, I'd say go for it. Otherwise, good luck, my friend. I don't know.
No, definitely not. I assure you, it will only be with those modes. Better dad angled question though. Your kid decides, I really want to, those characters are cool, I really want to play this game. Your kid decides to play Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
But there are those cheats, and he wants to use those cheats to go through it.
Oh, no.
How do you feel?
Oh, no. Well, like...
Yeah, that's a problem, isn't it?
That is a problem, because he'll play it with those cheats on and be, unfazed. And I think part of it was the difficulty and really being strategic about some things, right? And if you just have like that auto God mode without knowing and without, going through what we went through, I don't know. Do we want a better world for our kids? You'd be like, we suffered through this so you can have it better? I don't know.
That's a pretty fair way to put it. I think it's more if you don't suffer a little bit. Are you really playing a Final Fantasy at all?
Yeah, that's true too. I don't know. It was built to make you suffer at least a little bit. So.
That's just it. Might as well be the subtitle for most Final Fantasy games, I think.
I agree with that. Yeah, I think that works.
Okay. Yeah, we will probably have to cross that bridge at some point. But doing so, we'll have to wait for another time and perhaps another episode, as we should wrap it up here. Good one for the book. Man, I'm going to stay up all night thinking about that question. It's just like, if you beat a Final Fantasy with the God mode, have you really beaten a Final Fantasy at all?
That's right. It's a good question to ask.
So, everybody, thank you so much for listening. This has been New Dad Gaming. If you have a gaming dad story, if you have a great gaming dad success like I had, or if you have a great gaming fail like Jeff had with his Mario game, we would love to hear about it and feature on the show. If you could reach out to us at our website, newdadgaming.com. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at newdadgaming. A great way to get a hold of us, trying to be active there as possible. If you like the show, you can find us on all of the podcasting networks. So that is Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, anywhere where you get your podcasts. Just look for New Dad Gaming. If you did like the show and you could subscribe, that would really help us out, and we would really appreciate it, especially leaving a rating and a comment as we try to get out there and find as many gaming dads as possible and answer this age-old question about Final Fantasy and cheat modes. So, but until that's answered, and until next time, my name is Trevor, and I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And I'm Jeff. I have a 10-year-old and an 8-year-old. And remember, just because you became a dad
doesn't mean it's game over.